Welcome to the Underground.
Turn me up, bitch!
My Little Underground with Peter A.
It's My Little Underground. I'm Peter A. Make sure you're listening anywhere you get podcasts. And you can follow me on socials at MLUpod. You can also check out my website, peteraradio.com, for not only My Little Underground archives, but playlists as well, including little ass songs featuring tunes just under the 2-minute runtime. You can also sign up for my monthly My Little Underground email newsletter. All that is on peteraradio.com. All right, today on the show, we have Sydney Mae Diaz of Anxioushum, and you also may know him from Generations on HBO Max. He played the character Jay. I talked to him about how he got into the character, how he prepared for it, how he got the gig at Generations, his plans for releasing new music in 2021 with Anxioushum, and so much more for a great in-depth conversation with longtime friend Sydney Mae Diaz of Anxioushum is right here on My Little Underground. What is going on, Sid?
Nothing much. How's it going? Long time no see.
Yeah, I know. Cara tells me you were at the Small Data show elsewhere.
Yeah. And I found out later on that you were at that show, and I was so mad. I was with Matt, bassist in Anxioushum, and I remember hearing afterwards you were there, and I was so pissed because the entire time we were talking about, like, why aren't they bringing on the lights between acts? Like, it's so dark in the venue. I'm like, I probably know so many people here and I just can't see them. Yep. And then I found out you were there, and I was like, damn, like, I would have loved to see Peter.
I couldn't see anyone at all. Like, but I was like trying to stay away from everybody.
It was so dark.
It was very, very dark.
Yeah, it was dark, and then everyone has masks on, so it's like you really can't. I couldn't see anybody. I was just like, I'm here to see the band and then go home.
Well, you know what's funny? I think it's kind of poetic. I think it was about 3 years ago, Labor Day. It was Small Data at Anxioushum on the same card. What was that spot?
Yeah.
What was that spot?
Man.
Fuck. Damn, I forgot the name of the spot, but y'all played a basement show together, and that was
the spot, the name changed. It was like one name, and then another year was another name. But yeah, that basement, the Hofstra House.
Yep. It wasn't Our Lady of Perpetual Hope. It was the other. It was another spot.
It was. Oh man, I'm blanking.
Totally forgot.
Blanking so hard.
It's on the tip of my
what
tongue.
Happens. Yeah, exactly.
The point is, it was a great night, and I brought donuts for everybody because at my job on Fridays they have donuts, so there was tons of extra. So let me bring some with me. So, and I handed out to some. No one really wanted a donut that night. That was sad.
Yeah, so you're always the hero when you bring food to a gig. At least to me, when someone brings food to a gig, I'm like, hell yeah, I'm hanging out with them.
Yeah, you're right. I think me and Mike just had everything. No, not everything. Maybe Cara had a donut or two, but that was a good night. So it was good to see, like, at least one of y'all were at a bigger spot 3 years later. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So was that your first show since COVID broke out? That Small Data show at elsewhere?
No, because they played Long Island 2 nights before that. So that was my first. It was my first indoor music show, I'll say, because I did go to an indoor comedy show out here.
Yeah.
Which, like, maybe at the beginning of the summer.
Okay.
But I can't. But everything else I had been to since then was outdoors.
Yeah.
So I did see Earl Sweatshirt at the Hollywood Bowl, like him opening up for Kamasi Washington. That was a really good show, but it was outdoors, so I felt good about it.
Yeah,
and then
Earl Sweatshirt has become quite the he's been popping up at shows that, like, because you would expect, you know, a rapper to hop on a bill with another rapper, but I think he was on tour with, like, I think he's going on tour with Vince Staples or something like that. But he'll pop up on, like, a salon show or something like that, which is very interesting. Like Kamasi Washington, wow, that is
it was a really good. And he was an opener, and he still played like a 45-minute set. I was loving it. I'm a big Earl Sweatshirt fan. I've seen him a million times. So that was an absolute treat. Also, the Hollywood Bowl, beautiful venue, gorgeous venue.
Yeah. Is it I get it reminds me of the Brooklyn Bowl.
I haven't been to Brooklyn Bowl, so I couldn't tell you.
Never,
But
I've never been there too. The
it's
idea
just
just got put in my
beautiful.
head. Yeah.
It's really gorgeous, really scenic. There's a view of the Hollywood sign over the stage, and it's nice to watch the sunset. California things.
Speaking of California things, because we're talking about gigging on Long Island and the DIY circuit. You've been around here. What is that like on the West Coast?
I haven't found it yet. The majority of the time I've been out here, I was working, and then the other times that I wasn't working, I just it's weird when you don't know people who, I know the bigger shows that come and tour through here, but as far as like DIY, I haven't found it yet.
Yeah.
I haven't found the same, like the Long Island, New York equivalent of that out here just yet.
I see. It's probably just like New York, because New York is massive when it comes to like their underground community, because
exactly.
I talk to bands.
There's so many different pockets. There's so many different pockets of it, and I haven't found the pocket that is the equivalent to my pocket back in New York.
Yes, there's so many artists, but you talk to them, and then I'll be like, "Yeah, I went to go see so and so, and never heard of them."
Nope, yeah, exactly.
I'm like, "Wow, really? You don't know that?" Even in Brooklyn.
It's like all I do is listen to music, and I can't. When people mention an artist I've never heard of, I get mad at myself because I'm like, why didn't I know this person?
Yeah, exactly.
Why didn't I know?
Long Island was like that too. Nassau and Suffolk, some of them don't know each other. Even in Suffolk County, you go way out east, they don't even know all of them don't even know each other.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree with that. You start playing shows a little further out in the island.
Yep.
And they're like, oh yeah, so and so this show, this. I'm like, I've never even heard of this band before. And they're like, oh, they're popular in Suffolk County. And it's like, I never go to Suffolk County, rarely. So it makes sense.
But when you do find your DIY pocket in LA, you got to send me some of those artists, because I know a few artists out in LA, and again, it's just another universe entirely. But now with COVID, it kind of like shut everything down. But now,
exactly, that was another thing that elongated the process of trying to find the pocket, because everything was closed for so long.
Yeah. So I want to dive into the first phase of your artistry, which is music. One of the reasons why I got you on here, because there's a lot of layers to your artistry. So with music, the only thing you've done so far that you've shared with the world in 2021 was the Woke single. And was this part of your sessions with Billy Menino out here in New York?
Yeah, War we did right.
What'd I say? Did I say Woke?
Before? I think so. Honestly,
my bad.
Peter, everyone calls it that.
No way.
I think they just see it. Yeah, you're not the first person who said that.
Wow.
Yeah, but we recorded that right before I came out to LA, because I didn't know how long I was going to be here, and with COVID, I didn't know when I was going to be able to come back to New York to even visit or anything. So I was like, let's just have a single under our belt so we can release something while I'm away, so it's not like nothing's happening. So we recorded that August of last year, and it was just something I had written during the pandemic, and I had been playing. I didn't really. It feels last minute, but it felt like, oh yeah, let's just record something. And I was like, well, I have this one thing I wrote, so I guess we can record it. But it wasn't until this past trip I just took to New York that we played a gig that people were coming up to me and telling me like, oh, I really love this song. And, a couple of people were telling me that they were going through things and the song helped them. And I'm like, that's just so touching to hear. And because not that I didn't think it's not like I didn't think anything of the song. Like, the song obviously comes from a place of growth, I'll say, and growth isn't pretty or easy, but to hear that other people connected to it was very touching. I really like the song. I think it's Matt's favorite song of what we've done so far.
Yeah, I like it too. It sounds for the lack of a better term, professional. Not like your other material wasn't professional, but this sounds like
growth. It's growth.
Yeah, it's exactly what that is. Yeah. I feel like, because Billy also worked with Carl with Small Data, and the end result of that is everything you're saying. people are relating, connecting to this stuff. I feel like whatever is next for Anxioushum musically, the same thing is going to happen. It's going to happen. I don't know what it is about. That's your circle, with Small Dad, Anxious, and Billy at the, the head of that tree, helping you guys record it. Something is resonating with people, and I like it, and I can't wait to see what else is going to happen. So tell me about whatever you can share, your plan musically. You're going to do, it's going to be an Anxioushum LP, an EP, a string of singles. There's no wrong answer here.
Yeah, so we have an EP recorded that we did this past May that we're sitting on currently, that we plan to release a single, then the EP. I don't have dates and official details on that yet, so I can't spill the beans, but soon is all I can say.
All I care about is the plan. The other shit can come later. You can diverge, you can share with me, off the record, when that time comes. But I like when artists got a plan. You got a plan. That's all that matters.
Yeah, and then hopefully after that we look to do an LP. I really want to do an Anxioushum LP. I know Matt really does too. Billy as well. I love working with Billy. I feel like he really gets our thing, whatever our thing is, whenever we go into the studio. But whatever it is, when we're there, he understands so perfectly, and I love working with him. I speak always very highly of Billy, and I could go on and on and on.
Right. So okay, Alanis Morissette, right? I'm going somewhere with this, so just stay with me. Right?
Yes.
So Alanis Morissette's first album, Jagged Little Pill, is great. But what I really like from her is she did an entire acoustic album of that album, and it is absolutely phenomenal. Now, when I heard Fickle Lover, when you did it stripped back in the old Cafe Siptus out in Valley Stream, I was like, boom, there needs to be an unplugged Anxioushum. And I was telling Mike this, I was like, stripped back Sid is great. It's not, not saying that, this is what you should do from now on, but do you think about that? Do you listen to a lot of other unplugged albums and whatever and think, I'm going to do my own thing with this?
Thank you. I appreciate your compliment. When I playing back at the cafe, that's where I would always test out new material, just to kind of get a feel, okay, does this work? Does it not work? Do people like it? Does it feel good playing it? But I don't know, nothing's off the table, I'll say, because we always like to play with, live. We like to play with, okay, yeah, this is how it sounds on the record, but let's speed it up, or let's add this live. We always like to play with things. Nothing is really concrete with us. I will say on the EP, we do have a new rendition of an older song, which is fun. So I think about things like that, and I don't take anything off the table. We have thought about doing songs stripped down. If we're just always playing with different ideas that we can do, but I'm sure something in the future we'll have stripped down.
When you're talking about testing songs out, I think that's very important and interesting to see how things are going to work in the live setting and other reworks down the line. When you did the show recently at Amityville Music Hall, so you debuted a new song. So how close are we to hearing the first step in your musical plan and your layout? And how did you feel about testing out the song to the Amityville Music Hall live audience who was there to see?
Yeah. It felt so good to play a show. It's been so long, and the last show we had played was right before the world shut down, and then we were playing pretty often. So to go to be playing once or twice a month, to not have any shows for over a year and a half, was kind of hard. It was not easy, because it's something that me and Matt love doing both so much. As far as testing out the new tracks, It was sick. It was really good because, well, that show was also the first time Anxioushum had ever played as a four piece. We have only
Interesting.
ever played like Anxioushum started with me doing solo, and then Matt came along, so we would do either like just gigs with me and him, and we didn't have a drummer, or we would bring on a drummer, whoever was available at the time. But this was the first show that we had a lead guitarist, Gianni. He was great. And it was amazing getting to hear the songs fleshed out in real time versus, in the studio, you're building it, you're building it, you're building it. So yeah, you hear it in the studio, but to hear it live was so amazing. I just, every time we would be in practice and the song would be over, like Matt and I would just look at each other and be like, oh my God, like this shit rips. Like this is so good. And that's how I felt playing it live for other people. Cause it's like, I know I really like the track. I know it's a good song. So to be able to get to share that with other people before it's out yet. And then the reception we got, we got a lot of positive reception from the show. So that all feels very good. I just feel like I keep repeating the same words, but it's all very positive. I love performing and I love music. So, and as far as when anybody gets to hear it, I want to be hopeful and say hopefully before the end of the year, but I can't say officially. I don't know.
It's fine.
We're laying it out. We're working.
Great. Just lay the foundation down, and as long as you have the blueprint, that's all I care about. I don't really care about anything else. But I'm sure the end result will be fine. I love the Amityville Music Hall. Not living on Long Island anymore. I miss it because I've seen a lot of. What's interesting is a lot of bands that like I saw. The last show I saw over there was White Reaper. And they're signed to a major label and they go on big tours with big bands and they sell out their own thing. And it was interesting to see them play and they rocked it and people came out. And I remember when I saw Potty Mouth there, they're also, they were, getting to that national touring state. And they were like, are you sure that was good? They were asking, are you sure it was good? I'm like, that was amazing. Like, it's probably not, you weren't used to seeing that, but like, I love that venue and it's good to see artists like test out their what they're gonna do at that venue. It's a very special venue in that regard. That's how I see it.
Yeah, I love that venue.
Moving to the next phase in your artistry, acting. And I have a very funny story for you. And I told this to Mike. I think you might have told this to you. 3 years ago, I was at the WWE SummerSlam at the Barclays Center. And they aired commercials. And I looked up on the screen and they had a cricket commercial. I was like, huh. That's Sid. And I told Mike, like, Sid's in a cricket commercial. Like, huh, that's cool. So, like, how did that come about? And yeah, tell me about your experiences with that and everything.
Yeah, that was actually a really crazy. That was my first gig ever.
Wow.
Like out of college, that was my first acting gig. It was right out of college. I'd been auditioning all summer, and then I got an audition for this like cell phone commercial, blah blah blah, and it was like, bring family. And I was like, bring family? I'm like, how the hell am I supposed to bring family to an audition? I was like, this is like, I'm like, my dad works. I'm like, my brothers are in school. Like, I don't know. So I knew Julian that day. Well, Jordan was up at school because Jordan was up in Syracuse at that point.
Yep.
And Julian, I happened to know that day he didn't have class. So I was trying to bribe him to come with me for this audition because I knew that if I went by myself, it's not going to be so easy to like woo and charm these people who are looking for a family. So I was like, maybe I could see it. Maybe. So I bribed him. I was like, all you have to do is just wake up early. I'll pay for your train ticket. I'll buy you lunch, yada, yada. Just come with me. Just sit there and be charming. Like I just come.
Yeah.
And he was like, I don't know. And then I was like, Julian, we could get paid for this. This is a commercial. Once I mentioned the money aspect, then he was like, okay, yeah. All right. So I brought him in, and honestly, Julian is the reason we booked that commercial because he is so funny just naturally that the casting people just loved him and loved our dynamic. They were like, do you have any more family? And I was like, well, yeah, obviously. But I just thought it was like a stupid question. It's like, do you guys have any more family? And it's like, yeah, but I don't know. So then I was like, Dad, would you be interested? I'm like, casting one. And so lo and behold, this whole commercial, actually, no, I'm conflating two different things. I'm realizing that this isn't I'm conflating the HP commercial I worked on with the Cricket commercial. So I'm telling you a
Okay.
completely witty and funny story that has nothing to do with the Cricket commercial.
Yeah.
But so lo and behold, my family booked up, they were on that commercial with me. And that was my first job out of college. But the Cricket commercial, that came maybe 6 to 8 months later, something like that. And yeah, I auditioned for this thing and they were like, yeah, a Cricket commercial with like WWE star. And I was like, I don't really know wrestling too much anyway. Like I liked it a little bit as a kid. Like I loved Rey Mysterio. Like that was sick.
Yeah.
But I don't know the new faces. So to me, I was like, yeah, paid gig, sure thing. I'll do this thing. But I didn't realize how big this thing was going to be, because every once in a while, and I always knew which of my friends watched wrestling based on who would text me that, oh, I just saw you on this commercial. I'm like, you watch wrestling.
Yeah.
You just outed yourself.
Yep,
I know what you're watching right now. But yeah, that was a cool experience. And I had no idea that they would play that at the you were at like SummerSlam or something.
Yeah.
What was it?
In between the matches, they had the commercials. Yeah, it was
that
weird.
was cool. I didn't know that they would do that. And then I tell actually other people that I'm like, yeah, they actually played the commercial I was on the big screen. And I thought that was cool. If you had never told Michael that, I would have never known that was a thing, because I don't go see live wrestling ananymore. I did that as a kid, but I haven't been in years.
It's interesting because I'm thinking, what would you think if you like heard that 20,000 people were watching you on a, you know what I mean? Like the commercials out there on the internet, it's on TV, but it's like in one place, like 20,000 people are watching you. That's crazy, right?
I didn't know that was going to be a thing. I mean, it's cool that they did that. I just have no idea. I don't know. Yeah, a lot of people, I'm sure they're all not like, watching me in the commercial, because they're like, what the hell is this commercial playing? I want to see the actual event. Know? But yeah, it's still very cool.
So like with the Cricket commercial and the other commercial you did with the HP, like you said, did all that lead to Generations on HBO Max? Am I pronouncing that right? Because it's spelled kind of funky.
The T is a plus sign.
Okay.
Yeah, it's I'm not going to say, well, I mean, every job leads to the next. That's just how it works in this industry. But so indirectly, yes. I had done a few TV things beforehand. And then I got an audition for this pilot and I booked it and I had to come out to LA to do it. And that was 2019, like September, October 2019. And then beginning of 2020, it was either end of 2019, beginning of 2020, I found out we were picked up for a full season.
Yep.
So I was like, before the pandemic had hit, I kind of already had the idea that I knew I was going out to LA. I just was kind of waiting on the phone call with all the like details. So yeah, so then the pandemic hit and pushed on the process. And then I ended up having to come out here anyway during it, which was so wild. I don't recommend moving cities during a global pandemic. Really, or when there's wildfires, because I came out here when there were wildfires, and I'm an East Coast bitch, and I had no idea about any of that. So,
oh my goodness,
I was very concerned. But I mean, yeah, we did Generation, and that was an insane experience, crazy learning experience. I learned so much in such a short amount of time, and so much changed in such a short amount of time for me personally that I'm still processing, honestly, and it's been a year of all of this happening, but it's been a really, really wild experience.
Now, to that end, the learning experience, right? Like I was listening to a podcast with Talib Kweli and Jaleel White, who famously played Steve Urkel. So he was talking about this gig that he got later on, and like the movie or the show was like quote unquote terrible or whatever, but he was grateful for that job because it led him to get something else. So what did you learn? Not I guess maybe that's not learn, but like, were you able to like network with any of the cast, the crew, to maybe generate some leads for future gigs?
I mean, all the cast and the crew, we all, I think, got along very well, and there are definitely relationships I made on this show that I will carry with me career wise, personally. Like this was a very special TV making experience. I mean, I think at least on every project, I will walk away with at least one relationship, whether it be someone on crew or cast I think I will walk away with at least one relationship from every project I do. I like to approach things like that. I like people, and I like making friends. That's fun.
Yeah,
But
of course.
I also like finding people that you work well with. Like you meet people on set and you're like, wow, like geez, like sometimes you can't even communicate it with words, but you just like there's like this feeling here, and you working while I'm working makes it feel really good. And I hope that we get to do this and create more sometime in the future, because this was a lot of fun. And you don't always have, when you work with people who make it feel more like fun than work, because yes, it is work, but when you're having a really good time doing it, and you find that group of people who makes it a really good time doing it, those are special relationships.
See, now you found your motivating factor to make this not seem like quote unquote work. And trust me, it's the same, because we're probably in the same tree but different branches. Because I worked in radio and everything like that. So there's sometimes it feels like, I remember when I was doing I was an on-air personality, I have late shifts. Oh man, this coffee's not working. And then you find something, maybe the next 3 songs that are playing I like, and I get this energy back. So what's kind of cool is that at this time when you're doing Generations, you're 2 years out of college, at Delphi, great theater program and everything like that. But again, you're still 2 years out of college, and you're already on this. You did this big commercial, and you're on this huge show on a major streaming network. You know what I mean? That's probably like a huge culmination of all the hard work you did, and you're just getting started, right?
Yeah, I do not take it for granted. I realize that I'm young, and I graduated I'm gonna be like
2017,
4 years
right?
4 years out of school at this point, which is that's like daunting to hear, because I still feel like in my head I'm like, I'm still like 17, 18, right? And then I'm really not. I'm almost 10 years removed beyond that. But I'm just very fortunate to do what I love. And yes, it's not like this just didn't plop on my lap. I worked for it. I did. And I mean, you would come see me at the coffee shop all the time, and
I saw some of your shows. What a Lovely War. I was there. That's cool. That's way back.
Theater. Michael always brings that show up. Michael, that was a great show. That was my first college production.
It was weird. It was such a weird show.
Yeah. Kerry Prep was the director. He definitely took some liberties with that script. I don't know if I should say that, or if that'll get him in trouble. But he made that show so, not that the show isn't, look, I wasn't in what is the textbook example of that show, but what Kerry made that show, it was just so much fun. A great introduction into college theater.
And it was to me, it felt more like a play, even though it was kind of a musical, but it felt more like a play. Like I felt more into like the story, and I was brought into World War I. You know what I mean? I thought it was so cool. But with Generations, right? Your character Jay, right? So how did you prepare for this character and any other character that you may have, that you were had to just connect with and be a part of, to do the show, whatever work you're doing?
Well, Jay, I took a different approach with any other character I'd done for film work, because a lot of basically everything I've done up until Jay has been a lot of here and there. I'm sprinkled in, and I'm not going to say it's not a lot of character work, but I had never spent enough time on set or with a character to really think about this character. You know, everything I was just like, oh, kind of getting my feet wet, and oh, I got this job, and oh, that's so cool, and I get to do this. And then now is a job where it's like, okay, this is work, and you actually have to think about this. It's not just showing up to set and you're memorized and ha ha ha. You know, this was something I actually had to sink my teeth into. So I one day noticed that everyone around me had character playlists. They're like, oh, like, and I realized I didn't have one. And I'm such a music driven person that I was kind of like pissed at myself. I was like, damn, why didn't I think of that even? So that night I went through my phone and made like an obscenely long character playlist. I was just like any song that I could think of that was like, what made me feel like a teenager? What was I listening to when I was a teenager? What are teenagers listening to now? I was trying to combine all of that into one playlist, and I ended up with like a 7-hour playlist that I don't think I ever listened to all the way through. But I was trying to get in that mindset, like what makes you feel like a really, because Jay is a different person in high school than I was, and I was very straight-laced in high school, and I look back and wish that I had a little more fun. I had a lot of fun in high school. I loved high school, at least like the latter half of it when I started doing theater. But then I think of like my brother's experience, and I hear like, yeah, we cut class and we do this, and I'm like, damn, that sounds so badass. I wish I cut class. Like I was so like, I didn't want to do any of that. I was so scared in high school. But I also, it's like, you know, maybe if I hadn't been so straight-laced in school, I wouldn't be where I am now if I hadn't made the choices I had made. So it's all a good thing. But I tried basically with that playlist to get in the head of maybe like the high schooler I wish I had been. And I also modeled a little bit of Jay off of my youngest brother, Julian. Not like totally, but like I took little mannerisms or like things that I perceive. I listened to a lot of the music my brother would listen to. I listened to a lot of Playboi Carti for Jay. That's one of Jay's favorite artists.
Got it.
Yeah. But I also tried I looked up a lot of local, like Southern California bands.
Yep.
DIY bands, and I put a lot of those in Jay's playlist. That's why I ended up with this freaking 8-hour playlist, because I just was like everything and anything. But as my time, like, and I would listen to the music in the trailer as the show went on, because it was a long shoot. So as time went on, it more so narrowed down to like strictly like Playboi Carti bops, bangers to get the energy up and get myself in my body and energized for the long day ahead. So that's the approach that I took with building Jay.
Yeah, I never heard anybody do. That's interesting, because I remember I did a little indie film that's probably, my part's probably never going to come out, but what's interesting, I played an announcer. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, you know, I was ready to announcer, but it was an announcer for like, for a racetrack or whatever. So my inspiration was, so there was a scene in The Simpsons where they had this Hispanic soccer announcer, and that was me. But that's cool. Like you took music and you dove into the character that way. That's fascinating. Never heard anything like that before. So with Generations unfortunately being canceled, right? Mm-hmm. So do you have any other, you probably do, but anything you probably could talk about, any future roles that you probably already had in the can, or anything that's upcoming, or what?
Yeah, I'm in the talks for something right now. I don't really know what I can and cannot say about it, so I'm just gonna say I'm in the talks for something right now.
Okay.
Which might be happening soon.
Can you talk about the mediums? Like, is it film? Is it a series?
It's film.
Okay.
Yeah. That's all I'm gonna say, just because I don't know, and I'm superstitious, so I'm just gonna it's in talks.
Totally. It's cool.
But Ghostbusters comes out in November, and that's exciting because that was pushed off all pandemic. And I keep hearing, I haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen anything from it yet. Everything was very hush hush, like Marvel hush hush shooting it.
Wow.
So I didn't even really know what was going on. I still don't even really know. People ask me about it all the time, and I'm like, I literally am clueless. I showed up and did my part, and everything was very like they didn't want spoilers, which is so I get it with the internet. Like literally, I went to set every day and had to like tape my phone. Like they would tape the cameras on your phone, so you can't take pictures or anything.
Interesting.
I've been on. I had to do that. That was the only project of that caliber that I've been attached to.
I was gonna ask you about the Ghostbusters thing too, because I was afraid maybe that was one of the things probably couldn't talk about. But yeah.
No, because
Okay.
it's so close that I think I can talk. Like the
Yeah.
trailer's out. I feel
Oh,
like
there
I
you
can
go.
discuss it.
Yeah.
So that comes out really soon. I'm really excited to see it. I'm excited for other people to see it because people really love Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
And I know that's like such a silly thing to say, but like people really love that franchise, and I know people are gonna go apeshit for this movie.
Have you seen the original
However,
one?
I saw the first two,
Yeah.
but I hadn't seen them before I got cast in the movie.
You probably got
I
what?
saw them.
Why?
Yeah,
How didn't you see that?
I know everyone.
Yeah.
So once I got word that I was going to be in, I'm like, well, now I have to see the original, like at least the first two, because I would feel ridiculous showing up to set and being like, oh, I've actually never seen it. Huh?
Yeah.
But it's like, so I feel like the franchise is so ingrained in American culture because it's like every Halloween party you've ever been to, they play the Ghostbusters theme song.
Yep.
Everyone knows every word to that song. I knew that. I know all the words to that song. I've heard that song a million zillion times. But that's just because of how, American culture and Halloween,
I'm sure it's a platinum hit already because I heard it on the radio as a kid so many times. Somebody has a plaque for that song.
Yeah, I was just at Knott's Berry Farm this weekend, and they played it. I heard it twice in the theme park. So, the royalties on that must be insane.
Are you married to a certain medium? Either stage, TV, television, film?
No. I've always wanted to do. I started acting because I wanted to be a film actor.
Yeah.
And I've done a lot. I mean, I've done more TV than I've done film. Ghostbusters is the only film that I have under my belt thus far. And everything else has been commercials or TV. But no, I love performing and I love making art, that I just don't think shutting myself off to anything is really like not I want to do it all. I want to do film, I want to do TV. Eventually, I would love to do some Broadway, off Broadway, like get back to the theater. I would love to do that. I miss theater. I want to tour with Anxioushum eventually. That would be incredible. Yeah, I would love to do more, studio work with Anxioushum. Maybe music videos down the line. Who knows? Like I just want to do it all. I say why not?
So you say you don't watch wrestling anymore, but there is a wrestler that is just like you, and his name is Chris Jericho. You probably know Chris Jericho growing up. You probably seen him.
I know the name. I've definitely heard Michael talk about Chris Jericho.
He is like people always ask him, well, what do you prefer to do, wrestler or music? He's in a band called Fozzy, and he's like, I'm both. I'm a rock and roll star and I'm a wrestler. So when he does his wrestling tape, and then he goes on tour. Because I listened to his podcast a lot, and he's like, yeah, Fozzy's sold out here, over there. And I'm like, okay, this is what Sydney's doing. So
yeah.
let me ask you this. So now, you have your Anxioushum plan, and you got roles coming up. You're in Ghostbusters, and you're doing a lot more other things you probably can talk about. So tell me, how are you balancing this stuff out? Like, are you okay, listen, Monday I'm gonna do Anxioushum stuff, and then let's say if you have a show booked Tuesday and you have a shoot Wednesday, Thursday for some commercial or whatever, like what's your game plan? How do you iron all this stuff out?
Luckily I have practice from when I was working as a stagehand at Adelphi and as a barista, I was still also doing acting and music. And
I
that's
totally
still
forgot you worked at fitness too.
yeah. So I have practice from having to juggle 4 jobs to now I have the luxury of where I only have to juggle 2. So that definitely helps that I no longer have to figure out multiple work schedules into 24 hours anymore. That now my time is a little more, things are more spread out and I have more time and space to be able to focus on whether it be acting or music things. I've always looked at it that when acting stuff is really busy, that's when the music takes a back seat. And then somehow it always works out that when the acting stuff isn't that busy, that's when the music stuff gets really busy. And not that either one of them ever take a back seat, because they're always both there and present. But like, it's never like I'm not writing music at all when I'm on set, because I'm sitting there, typing lyrics on my phone. And it's not that when I'm doing music stuff and doing shows or recording music in the studio that I'm not doing auditions, because I was definitely doing auditions in the studio between takes and stuff. Like, nothing ever really takes a back seat. It's always present. It's just a way of juggling it. To me, it's like, I want to do this, like all of this so bad that I find a way to just make it work. I think with school, like from early in school, like with time management, I was always pretty good. And I just try to keep flexing that muscle as I move through adulthood and through my career, because it seems beneficial to me. It seems to be working. So I'm going to keep doing that. But to me, it's like, I feel it in my chest so hard and bad and intense that it's like, this is all I can do. And I just have to find a way to make it work.
Yeah, I think it's gonna work out, because listen, these are things that you love to do, that you've already practiced. So it's like, now, oh my God, my job is to act and sing. What? Like,
yeah,
you're gonna work it out.
I'm so blessed and lucky. Not that like, it made me any lesser of an artist when I was a barista and a stagehand and juggling all that. It didn't. I had to do it out of necessity. And I'm very, very privileged and lucky and blessed to be in the position that I, at the moment, don't have to do it. Yep. So I just try to keep that in perspective when I feel like I get stressed. And it's like, yeah, well, you were also doing all of this and working multiple jobs and making it work. So why are you complaining now? You weren't complaining too back. You weren't complaining too hard back then, and you're going to complain now? Like, please.
All right, let's get some plugs out. Plug away wherever you want to direct people's attention to.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I guess Anxioushum on all social media. You could stream MySpace demos and our most recent single War on Spotify and Apple Music. Wherever you could stream stuff, that's where you can find Anxioushum.
Cool. Great. Thank you so much, Sid, for coming on My Little Underground. Great conversation, healthy conversation. And doors open anytime you want to promote something. I'm always
Peter,
here.
thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, anytime.